Plyometrics in strongman. So what are these? Do we actually need them? Do a lot of the strongman training exercises already cover these basic plyometrics? Is there any point in doing them? What are the benefits? Why do people do them? So plyometrics, also known as jump training, where muscles exert a maximum amount of force in a short intervals of time with the goal of increasing power. So how we do this in strongman, if you think every time we sprint, every time we carry a weight maximally, it might not be necessarily a heavy weight that you're doing on your farmers or yoke in terms of training, but every step you're doing a kind of maximal exertion. It's about how quickly you can contract those muscles to move, because obviously they've got the goal speed. So examples of how like plyometric training would for a general athlete would be like, say, sprinting would be sprint drills, and you might see people bounding, different variations of jumps and stuff like that. So the benefits of this are going to obviously be transferable to stuff like, say if you get better at jumping or sprinting, if you get better at jumping high or jumping for like as far as you can, if you get able to jump higher on your bounding is basically like, say, jumping but one leg at once. So you're exploding off one leg, absorbing the impact off the other leg, and then immediately absorbing that impact and then rebounding out and moving on to the next step, and doing that in a sequence. So the benefits that you're going to get at this kind of buzzword of triple extension that people often talk about. So if you think of how often triple extension is talked about in strongman training or strongman events, so you're talking anytime you sprint, anytime you even say doing like, say, carries for endurance, like if you've got the ability to move explosively per stride, you're going to cover any given distance more efficiently. So every time you sprint back for an implement, every time you throw, every time you clean, every time you get like a sandbag to your shoulder, anytime you load an atlas stone, anytime you push press, anytime you jerk, like this plyometric training is going to transfer massively to that kind of stuff, because you're just going to be able to produce more force every time that you are attempting to achieve a triple extension, i.e. synonymous or simultaneous extension of the ankles, knees and hips. This is going to be in terms of if we get better at that within strongman training, your bag's going to go higher, your axle clean is going to get higher on your chest more efficiently. So it's about coordinating all these kind of muscle groups together as one to move the object more efficiently. So by nature, we're already covering these, whether you like it or not. You're already doing that every time you do, like, say, farmers walks especially when you're moving towards speed targets and yoke and any kind of carries. Anytime you're sprinting in between events, anytime you throw in, like you see a lot of people will jump into their throws. So what's great about taking a plyometric approach to the strongman events is you can get a lot of these benefits in terms of that will be transferable to the specific strongman events I've already mentioned, but without using a lot of equipment and without using a lot of kit. So you don't need much equipment to be able to practice jumping or practice sprinting or practice bounding or do a variation of sprint drills, etc. So anybody can kind of give this a go, regardless of whether you're training at home, whether you're at a commercial gym. So this is a particularly good approach for somebody who can only get to like a strongman gym to do the carrying events, say once a week or once a fortnight, something. Like, could you do a plyometric session? Like, could you plug it in somewhere within your program with a view to getting more out of your explosive events when you have exposure to the specific implements? You're going to get a massive benefit from doing it. So if, for instance, you manage to fit in, say, an extra session midweek, say on a Wednesday, if you're training events on a Saturday, and you manage to do maybe some hill sprints, maybe some vertical jumps, some box jumps, some pogo jumps, some different variations of sprint drills, you are definitely going to come to your Saturday session or weekend session and you're going to feel a lot more coordinated. And like, if you do this over time, you're definitely going to feel the benefit. But the great thing is that you don't have the setup costs and you don't have the opportunity costs of like setting up equipment and etc. It's just really, really convenient. So if you're thinking you don't want to add another session in to your midweek, can you tag it on to a different day? So say, for instance, I did about 20 minutes of plyometrics for about a year at the end of my deadlift session on a Monday. So I was doing my plyometrics and then on a Monday, and then like say moving events on a Thursday and Friday. And my moving events in that time, it's obviously I'm not trying to pin down progress to one specific thing. Obviously it's always a combination of things, but during that time, like my performance on yoke, farmers walks, all the different variations of them, even sandbag carries for distance, sandbag sprints, which I've always struggled to move really quickly with, they improved. Throwing improved. Explosive triple extension, like one motions on the Atlas Stone, significantly improved during this time. So that was when I kind of split it up into twice a week. I got to the point where, say, my moving events are probably like the thing that I'm most confident on at the minute. So actually what I've done is I've put the plyos before my moving event. So in my kind of net training time during the week, like I'm actually only doing moving events one time at the minute. So the rest of the training time I can be spending on things that I'm not quite as good at. So I basically, keeping it simple, I'll do the plyometrics once a week, mixed in with as like a warm-up routine for my moving event in the session that I'm doing, like say yoke and farmers and stuff, just literally just for time efficiency. So if you're somebody who struggled with moving events, if that's like your Achilles heel, if you will, then like anything, I would spread the work over the course of the week. I'd work out how you can get in, say maybe 3 times. So you do your plyos once, you do your moving events another time, and then maybe you do like a smaller plyos session mixed in with some lighter moving events with a speed emphasis on another time. Obviously focusing the recovery as the priority. So talking about recovery, so the plyometric benefits, obviously I've talked about getting more efficient with triple extension with everything that you do. That's obviously a performance benefit. But another kind of secondary performance benefit, or something that's actually quite hard to measure, is that how my recovery has significantly improved on moving events since I've been employing the plyometrics in my own training. So I've done the plyometrics, even say maybe and by the way, like because you don't see like an immediate return on what you're doing, and for me, I just don't find it fun. It can be quite difficult for some people to actually stick to, because it's like, personally I just find it really boring. But I'm only sticking to it because I've invested 15 to 20 minutes once a week for about 2.5 years now, and obviously in that time my moving events have improved. But another secondary benefit, which to be honest contributes to the moving events improving, because I can train the moving events harder and I'm never worried about recovery now, is like the kind of knee pain, ankle pain, like a little bit of shin pain that I used to get training moving events, specifically ankle pain on my right side where I used to have where I had an old injury. These kind of things have just cleared up completely, and that's been, I suppose, like I've never felt any kind of discomfort or kind of joint pain in my lower body following moving event sessions for a couple of years now. And actually I've transitioned to the point in the last 6 months where I'm actually favouring, definitely on comp day and mostly in training as well, not actually wearing my knee sleeves. And at first I didn't wear my knee sleeves and actually felt a lot freer moving on yoke and farmers, like when I was sprinting, but I could feel that my knees didn't recover quite as well. Whereas I'm at the point now where most of my moving event sessions now, I just stay without knee sleeves. And I would put a lot of this down to actually training, like plyometric training. Because even though when you look at people doing that, you may have seen a snapshot of people doing like say sprint drills and jumps and kind of different variations of sprints, and they look funny, but realistically they're actually pretty hardcore because of the shock absorption requirements that you're actually putting through your joints in order to absorb every time you jump maximally, and you're crashing down to the ground. Like your body's having to, the tissues, your muscles, but also your ligaments and your tendons are having to get stronger at absorbing the impact. Otherwise, you're not going to be as explosive, but you are going to get injured. So I would actually say err on the side of caution on these when you look to bring them in, and just basically do something nice and easy, maybe 10 to 20 minutes of something quite light, and not too high impact to start, because you may be surprised that actually because you are exposing your ligaments, your tendons, and your joints, etc., to these high impact exercises. You may be surprised that you actually have to build these up slowly, but you build these up slowly, and then the shock absorption qualities of all those structures and systems are going to significantly improve.